Hey, church leader, I just want to show you how we help churches increase the percentage of people in their populations who get assimilated. We work specifically with large churches just like yours to help you do this and to make sure that you don't have people who are leaving your church without you knowing. We stop that from happening so people will never leave your church again. Now, here's what's happening with most churches. About 90% of churches have kind of fall into this bad church model, as I call it. And what's happening is people are showing up to your Sunday service, and when they do, they're hearing a bunch of different next steps, a bunch of different calls to action in order to get assimilated. You might be telling them to serve in children's ministry, or there may be an announcement about a upcoming worship night you're having, or a mission trip for youth, or serve as a door greeter, or on your brew crew, or join a home group, or start a home group. There's a Sunday school class for 50s and 60s. We're having a luncheon this Sunday with a guest speaker. Any number of things your congregation could be hearing in your announcements, in your print materials, at your booths. Each Sunday they're walking away with so many different options. In a church model like that, you are lucky if you're even getting 10% to assimilate. This is my assimilation flag here. And you would be lucky to get 10% really assimilated into your church. Because here's why. Here's what's happening. The only people that can succeed in all of this are one of two congregants. Either they get lucky and they know someone who's already connected in your church, or two, they have to be so proactive in hounding your pastors, your staff, to say, help me get assimilated. I want to come to this. How do I get into this? That if they aren't falling in one of those two categories, the chances are they're leaving eventually, at some point, if not right off the bat. And the result of this is that, one, when you give your congregation a lot of choices, when choices go up, you as a church staff become extremely reactive. And what I mean by that is you don't know where your congregants are going. It's hard to measure. It's hard to shepherd, especially. And you can't measure it at all. You can't measure how well you're assimilating your people, and you end up just reacting to what's happening in all the different places and ministries that they are going. And that actually leaves your congregants unhappy because, like I said, they're having to either work really hard to get assimilated, or they're not getting assimilated at all. They feel like the church is not does not personally care about them, because it becomes very hard for your staff to shepherd them. So they end up being unhappy, and you have a very low rate of assimilation. But don't worry, there's a better way to do this. Someone shows up to your church service, your Sunday service, and you provide them a clear path to assimilate. Now, I have not yet talked about how we as Tower help support churches. And actually, I'm going to show you in just a second something I'm working on with a church right now, something we call an assimilation pipeline, just to give you a visual of how really we can help a large church like you make an impact on your assimilation very significantly. But here's what we do at Tower. When we come into play, we help you simplify this assimilation process. So number one, we simplify it. Second, we automate it. We use a software that is called HubSpot, that is a top-tier marketing software that's going to help you automate your processes. So for example, just to give you an example here, someone fills out a Connect card at your church. That's the first step. Now you have a name and an email. You give that to someone on your staff who's putting that in a database, and instantly what we can do is we can segment that Connect card by life stage. Once it's put into a life stage, that will trigger a series of 5 emails, for example, over the next 14 days over the next 2 weeks that are specific to that life stage. So someone who's a young family is going to get 5 emails that are targeted to them as a young family in different ministries that might work best for them. And at the very end on that 5th email, it's going to give them a clear call to action. And let's just say that call to action is to come to a discovery or an essentials class, kind of like your intro to our church, welcome to our church, 3-week course, something like that. Now, what we can do is we can see if they ended up actually attending that class. And let's say they do. The moment they sign up for that class for the next month, that's going to bring them to a schedule. They sign up for the next month. It'll automate an email from that host that says, hey, here's what to expect. If you have any questions, let us know. Now, if they don't sign up, that's going to trigger a second series of emails. So you can already start to see what we can do for churches where we can automate the assimilation process based on the decisions that your congregants are making to make it much more intentional and much more personal. Now, the third step, and this is a big step, the third step in this is we can measure it. So what we can do is we can go back to those emails and we can start to see how many people are moving through this assimilation process. So let's just say each Sunday we have 100 people, let's do 100 just to make numbers easy, fill out Connect cards. After that, like I said, we're sending them an email, and of that 100, we're getting, let's say 20% or 30% sign up for that essentials class, and then our call to action at the end of that essentials class is to join a home group, and about a third of them do that. So each week of the 100 Connect cards, we end up getting about 10 that get assimilated. They join a home group. What we can do is we can go back now and start to tweak some emails and say, okay, I think this video is going to work a little bit better in this email, or let's use a different subject line, and we can start to increase the percentage of this number that gets to here by measuring it and learning how to improve it over and over again, so that this is going to yield a much higher conversion rate of the people who are getting assimilated into your church. And by doing this, by being able to measure this process, by automating it so it saves your staff and your church time to do the things that you guys do best, it dramatically increases the number of people who get assimilated into your church. And we're seeing churches upwards of 60-70% assimilation rate in their church. It's just amazing. Now, let me show you real quick what I'm working on. It's called our assimilation pipeline, and I think it's really going to help you get a picture of how you can increase your assimilation using Tower Marketing. Okay, so right now you are looking at our assimilation pipeline, and it's a lot to look at it, but don't worry, I'll break this down for you. Now, what an assimilation pipeline is this provides a blueprint that churches can see how they are channeling someone not only from the worship service to when they get assimilated, which in this case for this church is when they start serving after going to a essentials class, but you can also see how well you're trafficking people from the very first time they interact with your church, both online and through more traditional mediums. So you're taking them, you're looking at the path that a potential worshiper might take from them interacting with a post they saw of yours on Instagram, or a Google search they made, or a word of mouth referral, all the way to where maybe they go on your website to show up to a worship service, fill out a Connect card, and then become assimilated. So it's a great visual to give you a high-level look at how well your church is getting people to your services and then assimilating them once they've shown up to your service. Now, typically for churches, we build out several of these, and so that you can look at it by each life stage. So this one, as you can see, is for young families specifically. So you might have also another blueprint for empty nesters, and for singles in your church, and for retirees, for maybe families with parents in 40s, 50s. You can do one of these for each of your life stages, because you might be calling them to different programs, or even sometimes a different worship service, and that's helpful. Now, I'm going to jump into this just a little bit more, just a few of the details, but what you can see here just on a broad level is, as I said, you can see how traffic flows from digital mediums to your website, through your church, and then how you start to assimilate. And these triangles right here show you how well the traffic is flowing, where the green indicates where it's flowing well, where people are going to one step in your pipeline and they're able to flow pretty well on to the next. And now the red is where people are getting bottlenecked. So you can see these red triangles here. Now we know this because on each step in this pipeline, we have certain parameters, certain goals we want to meet as far as our conversion, how much people we're reaching maybe. And if we aren't meeting those goals, they're going to show up as red. So on a very quick view, you can see where people are getting bottlenecked and which pieces of our pipeline are not performing well. The yellow indicates kind of the end of the pipeline. This is what we call maybe a cul-de-sac, that as traffic is coming in, this is where it ends. The gray is showing where we are making updates to the database. So most people are coming in on one of these touch points. You can see this shows the content that we've posted through Instagram, how well it's performing. And once people click on that content, that's going to take them to the Instagram page of this church, let's say, and they're looking at all these beautiful photos and videos. And they click on that link in your Instagram bio that takes them to their website. The primary call to action on this website is a new guest check-in. This might reserve them seats at a worship service, even a parking spot, and they just give you their name, their email, maybe how many kids they're coming with. So already you have some information and you can target them with an email that says, hey, we can't wait to see you. Maybe there's a video in that email that says, here's what to expect. Blah, blah, blah. That's already going to get them feeling comfortable about coming to your service before they've even shown up, and increase the likelihood that they show up to worship, which is right here. So they show up to worship. I'll zoom in here a little bit. And our goal is to get them to fill out a Connect card. Now you can see there's several updates to the database that are made as soon as they fill out the Connect card. We update their contact info. That's going to automatically put them in a young families list, because again, we're looking at young families here. And that's going to automatically add them to the assimilation pastor's queue. And so the assimilation pastor at this church can have a queue, a list of people that he's seeing need to get assimilated and he is responsible for shepherding. They're under his jurisdiction. So all that stuff is happening in the database automatically. Once that Connect card gets filled out, they're sending them a drip email campaign, which is a series of 5 emails over 14 days that's saying, sign up for Essentials. If they don't end up signing up for Essentials, we're going to wait a week. You can see right here it says 7 days right by that little stopwatch. And we're going to send them a second series of emails that again is saying, sign up for Essentials. They click on a link in that email that goes to a landing page where they can look at the upcoming class dates and sign up for the one that works with them. If for some reason they go to this landing page, they don't sign up, we can actually see who went there. And we can target them with a phone call from the host of the class that says, hey, would love for you to come, would love for you to join. If for some reason they still don't, they're just going to get the ongoing email, which is a pastor's desk email, and then they'll get added to a different queue, which is the family's pastor queue. So now someone else, the family's pastor, is responsible for shepherding that person, no longer assimilation. But let's say they show up to the Essentials class. They come, it's a 3-week class. That's great. They're going to be getting emails throughout the class just to say what's happening each week. And our goal for that class is to get people to start serving. Again, this is this church's assimilation. They want to get people serving. So at the end, they have a serve card that they want you to fill out. If someone fills out the serve card, again, that's updated in the database. It goes to a serve ready queue. I got to charge my computer. A serve ready queue. And actually notifies the serve director, and now he is responsible for shepherding that person, and that goes into his queue. And so that's how we're getting people serving. They get a confirmation the moment they fill it out, and then they start serving over here, which is just awesome. And I'm not going to go even into too much more detail on some of the other stuff in this funnel, because this already gives you kind of a overlook at how well we are getting people assimilated into our church. Now, a few things over here I want you to look at. This is how we measure this. And I think this is really cool because this is where it starts to get very tangible for you as a church. Right here, you can see the amount of hours saved. And I love measuring this because a part of building these pipelines is saving you time and money. Your employees, your staff's time is valuable. And right here, you can see we're saving the staff a total of 16 hours each week. This might be staff who are more involved with young families. This could be some of your administrative staff. And a lot of this time gets soaked up typically with just repeat emails that they're typing out, working in the database, sorting through lists, adding contact information, sending out maybe ads over here that are getting automated instead. And so on average, we've measured it's saving them 16 hours each week. And let's just put a number to it. Let's say each employee at your church you value their time at $30 an hour. You multiply that times 16 hours each week, and that really adds up. This second measurement is cost per assimilation. So this is looking at how much money it takes to take someone from when they fill out a Connect card to when they're actually assimilated. So this might be the cost of print materials that you're using for the Essentials class or for your Serve card. This could be the cost of some programming you're putting on, whatever. We're going to measure that and be able to show you how much that costs to get them assimilated. And this is going to help you as a church be a great steward of your funds to try to make it as cost effective as possible to get people assimilated. This next measurement is a Connect to Assimilation rate, a CTA rate, and this measures the percentage of people that fill out a Connect card, how many are actually get assimilated. This is a huge measurement for you, and this is awesome. 64%, that's a great number. Again, going back to what we talked about earlier, most churches, when they show up to worship, people can go any different direction, like 30 different options. As you all can see, we can very clearly see all the places that someone could be going after they come to worship. And it helps us begin to measure it and then optimize this system so it's working better and better and more efficiently so we can get this percentage higher and higher. Lastly, you have your Connect to Assimilation length. This is how much time it takes to get someone from filling out a Connect card to when they actually are assimilated. And this is a great number because what you can start to do is you can start to work better as a team. You can learn what emails work best in this process, how you can segment your database better, what creatives you're using in maybe some of your advertisements, your phone call scripts that make this whole thing work efficiently. And then you can cut down the amount of time it takes to get someone from filling out the Connect card to where they're actually assimilated so that your church is providing a better experience for your congregants and making them happier. Now, just to zoom back out and wrap this up, at Tower, we are constantly working alongside you to make sure that this process is working well. And then once it's built out, we want this thing to work better and better for you. So we're constantly tweaking it so we can help improve these measurements over here for you as a church. We like to think of ourselves as an extension of your team. Each week, we send you some kind of key updates on how well these pipelines are working in your church. So you don't have to sift through this whole thing. You just get the important information. And again, we are there for you like an extension of your team. This is going to help you grow your church rapidly, improve your assimilation, and stop people from going out the back door in your church. Please, if you want to talk to us further, we'd love to help. Schedule a discovery call with one of our team members. And again, we would love to see you win as a church by creating an incredible assimilation process for your congregants.